Let me turn now to Asieh Collins. She's a fellow with the Korea Chair at the Center for Strategic and International Studies here in Washington. Lisa, can the Olympics, in fact, be a turning point here?
So I think this is a positive step, obviously, that the two Koreas have gotten together and have started dialogue on North Korea's participation in the Olympics. But it's still a little bit too early to say. There are a lot of issues which the two Koreas still have to work out. One, of course, is on North Korea's participation and how the participation by the North will abide by sanctions that are already in place. And second of all, they will have to discuss more about the athlete participation. They're, of course, fielding a joint women's ice hockey team, but which team members will participate in the games, and then how they will also work out the details of that will be important to look at. So it's a start.
It's absolutely a start. And Lisa, the fact remains these two countries are finally talking face to face. Seems like a remarkable breakthrough, although, as you mentioned, a lot is still up in the air. But a big question everyone is asking is what is going to happen after the Olympics and when those military drills resume between the United States and South Korea?
So I think a lot depends on what happens during the Olympic period. Of course, North Korea will bring a high-level delegation with high-level officials from Pyongyang. Whether or not those officials meet with other high-level South Korean officials and perhaps with North Korean government officials in South Korea for the Olympics will be a question. If there can be some progress made beyond just sports diplomacy and actually some talks about denuclearization or returning to six-party talks or some form of direct talks on the nuclear issue, I think that will signal a lot more progress.
So do you think talking about the nuclear issue should be, in fact, a precondition to going back to those six-party talks that China has been pushing?
I believe that's the ultimate goal of the United States and also of South Korea and other important stakeholders in the region. So I do believe that there should at least be some discussion about denuclearization. Whether or not it's a precondition or not, I think that's for the U.S. government and other governments to decide.
Critics argue Pyongyang is really using the Olympics as a way to skirt international sanctions and try to drive a wedge between Seoul and Washington. What is your take on that?
So there are experts who do believe that North Korea is using this opportunity to try and drive a wedge between the U.S. and South Korea. I think the South Koreans and the Americans are very cognizant of that and are trying their best to coordinate policy, coordinate action to make sure that this doesn't become a dividing factor between the two countries.
And Lisa, how would you right now rate the relationship between these two Koreas? I mean, as we talked about, first face-to-face contact in a number of years now. Their athletes are going to be marching again for the first time since 2006, I believe. So it's certainly not the frosty relationship that was just a few weeks ago.
So things are, yes, they're much better, but I don't think that they are, they're not at a place where they've completely restored relations between the two Koreas. I think people are hopeful, but they're still being very cautious because there's a lot of history of tension and conflict between the two Koreas, and that can't be overcome in just a matter of weeks,
clearly
even
still,
with just one event.
Clearly still many, many challenges, but at least the dialogue has opened. Asieh Collins, thank you so much.
Thank you.